Let's recycle this old plastic container to use as a shield on our bench grinder. We'll put a bracket on one end like so. Now we have protection from sparks. We can make some slits into this plastic tubing and then attach it to a bolt to make a temporary drywall anchor. Now just an extra washer to make it more secure. Our next project is going to be a tool that helps us carve out hex nut indentations. We'll attach it to a bolt like so that it looks like this. Now we can trace out our hex nut and use our tool like a chisel and hammer it into the wood. Now everything fits perfectly. We want to remove this knot from this board. Drill it out and then use a hole saw to cut out a round that's the same size as the hole that we drilled. Fill this hole with glue and insert the round. In this case, we're using a chisel and then a planer to level the surface. Let's create a tool that helps us easily cut out grooves in our foam panels. We'll drill these two pieces of wood together to make a right angle. Then we'll mount a snap blade to both sides of the tool. Now we can cut out a groove, which prevents a gap between these foam panels. Now we'll be building a bottle opener with a magnet inside out of this log. We'll cut out a plank like so, and then we'll trace where we want the magnet to be. Then using a drill and chisels, we can carve out a hole big enough for the magnet. We'll take apart this clamp and use the metal piece as our can opener. We'll attach it to the side opposite the magnet. Then add a bit of varnish. And now when we open our bottles, the caps stick to the board instead of falling onto the floor. We can cut out a strip of metal from this old can and use it to help us tear off pieces of tape. We'll be printing on a pre-printed image onto this log. We'll want to sand it first, and then we'll cut out the image and glue it onto the log. After soaking in water, we can peel off the plastic adhesive. And what's left on the log is our image. We can use this piece of wood from an old piece of furniture and turn it into a charging stand for our phone. We'll trace out the appropriate size and use a jigsaw to cut it out. Then, a bit of sanding paper to smooth off the edges. We'll use a washer to mark out where we'll cut the 3 holes. The 2 on the ends will be smaller, and the center hole will be larger. We'll install bolts into the smaller holes. These will act as stands. Now we can pass our charger through the center hole to charge our phone. This large plastic bottle will make a really convenient garbage can. We'll mark out most of the top, but leaving a little strip with the cap. It should look like this. Now we can attach it to the cabinet door underneath the sink to easily discard any scraps. If we remove the handle from this large plastic bottle, we can bend the tabs like so. This gives us a quick and easy phone stand. The blades on this grater are getting a little bit dull. To sharpen them, we can use the bottom of this ceramic cup. Good as new. We can also use the bottom of this mug to sharpen any ordinary knives as well. We need to pass some wire through this plastic tubing, and pushing it wouldn't be the best option. What we can do instead is cut out a little circle of foam that's about the same size as the tubing. We'll then pass a string through the center of the foam and fasten it with a knot. Now we'll use the vacuum to suck up the string until it passes all the way through the plastic tubing. As you can see, it's come out the other side. But we're not done. We want to pass the wire through the tubing, not just the string. We'll tie the string to one of the wires securely. Folding a single wire back on itself, and then wrapping everything with tape will ensure that the string doesn't slip off. Now we'll pull the string from the other end to pass it through the tubing. Once it's passed all the way through, we'll cut off any excess wire and tie a simple overhand knot to make sure that the wire doesn't slip back into the tubing. Here's a quick and easy life hack to help you tie your shoes if you're in a hurry. Here we have an ordinary coat hanger. If we cut the bottom rung in half, we can use this coat hanger to hang paper towels and toilet paper. Next, we have an ordinary piece of scrap wood. We can use our jigsaw to cut it into the shape of the letter P. Then we'll hammer a nail onto the top. And we can use our new tool to help us open cans more easily. If you need to remove a nail that's lost its head, try using a pair of pliers for extra grip. Our next project will be building a mousetrap. Don't worry, this one isn't dangerous. Start by cutting out a board that's the same width as the bottle. We'll want to find the balance point on this bottle, and make 2 marks on both sides and drill holes where the marks are. We'll attach support beams to both sides of our board. Line everything up and drill 2 holes at the same level onto the beams. Screw in 2 bolts on both beams and put the bolts through the holes of the bottle. Tighten the bolts. The bottle should rock back and forth like so. Now we'll cut out a little ramp. All that's left to do is leave some treats inside the bottle. And our last project of this episode is going to be a bird feeder. We'll connect 2 plastic bottles together. We'll just need to make a couple of holes in the bottles for the bird seeds. We can also attach a popsicle stick to give the birds a place to land. Now we'll just fill the bottles with bird seeds. To start out, this hack involves holding the nut in place for long enough to line it up with the bolts. A piece of double-sided tape should do the trick. It's hard to hammer out these nails when the board keeps moving. Try hammering it through this hole in the plywood. To mark even lines on pipes and tubing, attach a metal to the side of this marker. Here's a quick way to make a DIY funnel. Simply attach a PVC pipe to the top half of a plastic bottle. If you can't decide between screws or nails, screws don't have the shear strength that nails have, so in this case, nails will be the better option. Here's a great way to store your chainsaw. Slice open some foam tubing, then wrap it around the chainsaw chain and secure it with some tape. Here's a little close-up of an interesting way to solder two wires together. Next, we'll build a flashlight using this rechargeable 12-volt drill battery. First, we'll cut out a slot for the on and off switch. Then we'll attach these disconnects to the LED wires and crimp them with a crimping tool. Drill a hole into the top of the flashlight and pass the LED wires through the hole. The wires should be able to reach the slot. Attach the on and off switch and press the switch into the slot. Attach the other ends of the wire to the battery. Now we just plug in the LED bulb. Let's take a look at some different types of anchors and how they actually anchor themselves into the wall from the other side. Here's a life hack that works on cheap locks. Slap the side of the lock with a magnet to release the latch and open the lock. If we fold over this nail with a pair of pliers and then repeat it a few times, we can make this beautiful piece of art. Although it's easy enough to make a straight line using a ruler, it's almost impossible to make a straight cut without using a guide. So let's make a guide for our jigsaw. Make a straight line across a board and mark the center of where the jigsaw blade is. Now drill a 1-inch hole centered on that mark. Cut the board in half along the straight line. And to make sure the edge is straight, we can plane off this inner edge. Remove the two bolts from one side of the jigsaw and lay down some double-sided tape. Lay the larger piece of board so that the smaller board can be lined up on the tape. Now we can drill holes into the board where the screws would go. Remove the board and drill larger holes for the longer screws. Now we'll screw the board into the bottom of the jigsaw and reinsert the blade. Next, we'll draw our line and clamp a board with its edge lined up to the mark. Now we have a guide that cuts right on the line every time. Here we have some old clippers. We can sharpen them by sliding a piece of fine grit sandpaper between the two blades. Turn on the clippers and move the sandpaper around to bring the blades back to their former sharpness. When sanding, sawdust can gather in corners and edges. To prevent this, we can place a drywall knife along the edge as we sand. Drilling holes directly into metal like this can leave a rough and uneven hole. By placing the metal sheet between two pieces of wood, drilling becomes much easier and neater. Sometimes our PVC pipe doesn't match the fitting. We can use this socket fusion tool to connect these pieces together. We'll use this for our selfie stick. Drill some screws into a small board so that your phone can slide in and out. Then mount a PVC clip onto the back. Now we can mount 2 more clips into the wall and attach our selfie stick. And if your camera isn't mounting to the wall like it should, you can rub some fresh garlic to the inside of the suction cup.